Howdy folks, I'm Adventurous Red Disc Alpine, adeptly adapting to Arctic areas.
I'm Amber.
And here are more Arctic areas for us to adapt to, the coldest corners of Reddit. So let's get started. Alright folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Refusing to Pay Rent at My Uncle's House After They Took Me In for 2 years? I'm an 18-year-old female, and I've been living at my uncle's house, Adam, a 49-year-old male, and Melissa, a 47-year-old female, for 2 years. This happened after a sudden passing of my parents. When they took me in, they were quite relaxed with me for a few weeks and then went back to the regular ways. They were a little strict, but nothing too extreme. There were some restrictions that were different, but eventually nothing ended up being a big deal. Well, a few weeks ago, my uncle and aunt sat me down and asked me to begin paying rent. Additionally, with a little backlog, but I could, quote, take my time on that. I told them that I couldn't do that because I couldn't afford that. All of the money that I was saving was going straight to my college fund, and to afford 2 years' rent, plus every month from now, would mostly drain me. Adam and Melissa shrugged and asked me to figure it out as best as I could. Well, today at breakfast, I told them that I would be staying with my boyfriend, Elias, a 19-year-old male. His parents and him invited me to stay once they heard me talking about the issue. They have a 2-story with 2 free rooms currently, so they told me whichever room I wanted was free. Elias and I had been dating for 3.5 years. I stayed at his family's house often over the years. As I was packing, Adam and Melissa came into my room and forbid it. And they are extremely conservative Christians and said that it's not a good look. They said that I owed them something for the years that they took care of me. They really were great for the last 2 years that I stayed with them, very comforting and very kind people. But I just don't want to give up my college dreams. I'm at Elias's house right now, and honestly, I'm feeling bad, like I deserted them. They really were fantastic people. Am I the jerk? All right, folks, what do you think?
No, absolutely not the jerk. Children are not expected to pay for their care regardless of the situation. Them expecting you to pay when you were a minor is absolutely despicable.
Well, I also want to point out that this person who is a relative stranger to them, like Elias's mom, I'm sure isn't like super close. Maybe they're super close with him. I don't know. Maybe they're not that much of a stranger, but like they're certainly not family, right? And these people who aren't family are taking them in for free, it sounds like, and letting them stay there, right? When their own relatives are basically trying to guilt them into paying rent here.
Well, that's the thing, is that they are just using OP as a cash cow. They do not care that it would sabotage OP's future. They just want money out of OP.
Well, and it's unfortunate because OP, wants to go to college. They want to be able to, have a career and position. And certainly, like, I understand if they feel like OP is, maybe going against their religious beliefs, but, OP gets to decide what their religious beliefs are and aren't, right? And they can't control what OP does with their lives. OP is a adult. They can't say that they forbid it because OP, can't be forbidden from doing this, right?
Well, and where is their Christian charity when it comes to like housing and caring for OP, Like they're just like, oh, well, you can't move into your boyfriend's house, so you have to stay here and pay us money.
Yeah. And that doesn't sound like, at that point in time, that sounds like a conflict of interest. That doesn't sound like them trying to enforce religious beliefs on them. It sounds more like they just want OP to pay them money, right? And I don't think they see how big of a conflict of interest that is. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Mighty Matt 9482 says, what happened to the money that your parents would have left you? Don't pay them rent. Ask them if good Christian families would take in a family of orphans and then expect money from them. Definitely not. And Opie replies, my parents didn't have a lot of money, so they didn't leave me much. That amount was dedicated for college and college only though. And Scary Possible 3583 says, if you're in the US, they receive Social Security. If not, check your country. They probably receive their version of social insurance. Also, check with your Social Security/social insurance office. As an orphan, you will continue to get a death benefit while you're in school. There were also a number of other funds available to you. You are not supposed to be sent into adulthood as an orphan with a debt for your childhood. I understand you see your aunt and uncle as good people, but for them to try and do this is absolutely unconscionable. And Opie replies, thank you, I'm going to try to find whomever I can. That's actually horrible. If OP is actually entitled to some kind of benefits and they've been receiving some kind of benefit from the state and now they're trying to get more money out of OP, that I don't even know what you can say at this point in time. This does not feel like this feels like a money issue.
Well, yeah, it just feels like a money grab because like survivor benefits are usually paid out in trust to the adult for the child.
Yeah.
Um,
I imagine that they're looking to basically continue to receive those benefits, and if OP moves out, then maybe they won't get those benefits.
I mean, that might be part of it too, and they just want to milk this for all it's worth. It's just disgusting.
All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Pretending That I Couldn't Bench Heavier Than My Boyfriend? I'm a 23-year-old female, and I have a boyfriend, a 23-year-old male, who's tall and athletic. I'm beyond taller and more muscular than the average woman. I'm also taller and more muscular than the average man. 4 of my boyfriend's guy friends and their girlfriends were with us at the gym. The guys wanted to test their bench pressing against their girlfriends. I wasn't sure how my boyfriend would feel if I outbenched him, especially since I would have been the only girlfriend to do so. So I pretended that I couldn't lift the weight that he had lifted. But later in the week, my boyfriend told me that he and his friends clocked that I was faking. He said that I should have defeated him. He said by faking it, I made it seem like he was insecure. So am I the jerk? I'm going to read a couple of comments real quick and then we can get into discussing it. And C Area 9605 says, I just want to know how much can you bench? And OP replies, 295. And Nefarious Plant says, oh my goodness, not the jerk, but don't do that ever again. If your boyfriend feels a type of way about you being able to outbench him or is going to punish you in some way for, check notes, participating in good faith in a competition, that is information that you want to have because a man like that is bad news. You rob yourself of a potentially very important data point about your boyfriend. Also, I seriously side-eye anyone who starts a competition they know or assume that they're going to win easily. The, hey, let's have the dudes compete against their girlfriends thing. What exactly was the goal of this benching competition in the first place? And OP replies, the guys didn't phrase it like they would assume that they would win. What I learned later is that my boyfriend actually wanted me to win. He said that his friends would have been impressed with both of us had I won. He said that me pretending made his friends impressed with me, but they think that my boyfriend is pathetic. All right, what do you think about this, folks?
I mean, I wouldn't say anyone is in the wrong per se here. I think that OP made a choice to try and spare her boyfriend's ego that she didn't need to. Luckily, I agree with the person who say this is a very important data point. If your partner challenges you to a competition but would get mad if you beat them, that's not a good sign. And so I think the fact that OP's boyfriend was engaging in this honestly and expected to lose to OP is actually a good sign.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this wasn't necessarily unhealthy. I do question them having this competition in the first place. Why not just say, oh, let's see how much everyone can bench, right? Instead of framing it as oh, can you beat your boyfriend type of thing, right? I think that if they had just wanted to see how much everyone's max was, that would have been one thing, but kind of phrasing it as this competition, I don't understand that aspect of it, right? I think it was short-sighted. As for OP, I think that this is a valuable lesson to OP. They should never diminish their own skills and abilities so that someone else can shine through, right?
Mm-hmm.
But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Buying Something for My Mom After My Dad Told Her That He Can't Buy It for her because he couldn't afford it? I'm a gay 30-year-old male. My dad and I had a falling out when he found out that I was gay. We still keep in contact and talk to each other, but it's very emotionally distant. We live on the opposite sides of the country in the United States. I work in corporate finance and I do well for myself. My dad works in IT and isn't great with money. I came out of the closet last year to my family, but before that happened, I used to manage my dad's finances and retirement accounts since I know how to manage money. After coming out, my dad told me that he didn't want me to manage his accounts anymore, so I backed off. He made some bad investments and lost some money, not a huge amount from his portfolio, but significant. And early this year, he decided that he would buy a house, but that was 9 times his yearly salary on a mortgage. And after purchasing it, his plan was to sell his current house. And I told him that I think that's a bad idea. This was all back in March. Well, fast forward to now, my parents bought the house with a 7% interest rate and sold their old house for $75,000 under the asking price because they only got one offer and became desperate. I told my dad that I would be happy to help in any way, but he never took me up on it. Luckily, they're keeping their heads above water because I made sure that my dad contributed maximally to his retirement accounts over the years when I was managing his money, as well as the fact that I chose some good long-term option contracts for him that helped bring in cash flow. Well, here's where I might be the jerk. In the midst of all this, my dad became very stressed about money, and he started compromising, but by not making any upgrades to the new house other than what was necessary. But that's it. No new furniture, no kitchen or bathroom remodeling, etc. My mom had picked out a particular sofa for $5,000 that she had wanted for a very long time. It's always on display in her favorite furniture store. My dad told her no. My mom was pretty sad about it. So as a present, I decided to buy it for her. I also rented a U-Haul and picked it up and assembled it at their new home. My dad got super mad and said that I was undermining him. I'll admit that I was super mad at him about a lot of things in the moment. And without thinking, I just said, well, if you can't afford something that she wants, then I'll step in to make her happy. All right, folks, what do you think?
Not the jerk. I mean, what does he even mean by undermining him? It's not like she's his child. Like, you're allowed to buy gifts for your parents,
Yeah.
and you don't need anyone's permission, and you can't undermine someone. Like, I don't know. Again, I just really don't like the language of undermining.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was a little bit uncalled for on his part. I think that OP's whole snip about if you can't afford something that she wants, then I'll step in to make her happy was maybe a tad bit uncalled for. But I mean, it sounds like things are kind of at a boiling point between the two of them. You know, I think it's a sad situation because it sounds like OP has wanted to do nothing but good for his father and his mother, and his father is kind of holding on to this prejudice and not allowing his son to be a son here, right? And I think that he's upset because he doesn't like with OP managing his finances, right? He viewed this as like cutting him off would be a way of basically preventing him from owing any favors to OP or, attributing anything good to him, right? And in the same way, OP buying this couch is the same kind of thing. Like, it's a gift from OP to them. And so in his mind, he doesn't want to associate anything good with his son. And so he's upset that his son is doing something kind because it kind of undermines the image that he wants to build up in his mind that there's something wrong with his son, right?
No, he just needs to stop being bigoted.
And I think that hopefully they can someday come together and, be good to each other. I mean, I think that OP is doing a good job here, but I think the dad needs to sit and reflect on his feelings and, come to understand that OP is still his son and what he's doing here is really uncalled for. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Giving My Fiance a Forehead Kiss? I'm a 24-year-old male, and my fiance is a 28-year-old female, and we are getting married later this month. My dad had us over today, and we stayed late. My stepbrother, a 25-year-old male, had his girlfriend, a 25-year-old female, over. The 6 of us were watching movies, and it was getting late, and my fiance fell asleep. Well, she woke up around an hour later, and I gave her a forehead kiss. This has become a bit of a thing for us. I always give her a forehead kiss when she wakes up in the morning. I also do it when she wakes up from naps. It's to the point where it's a habit now. Well, a little while later, my stepbrother pulled me aside and demanded that I stop forcing my perfect relationship down his throat. I told him that I wasn't forcing anything, that I was just kissing my fiance, and he cut me off and called me a jerk and then went upstairs. The rest of the night went pretty normal. My stepbrother's girlfriend went upstairs to look for my stepbrother after a little while. My fiance and I just got home, and I received a text from my stepmom, and it said that I should apologize for making my stepbrother uncomfortable and stop acting so obsessed with my fiance. Am I the jerk for giving my fiance a forehead kiss? All right, folks, what do you think?
No, absolutely not the jerk. I mean, it's not your fault his relationship is struggling, and maybe he needs to learn to step up as a partner or communicate or any number of things.
Yeah, I mean, it might just be that he feels like OP is making him look bad.
Mm-hmm.
And he's upset because, if his girlfriend says something or mentions something like, oh, why don't you show me that kind of affection or something like that, then it might make him feel upset and say, you're making me look bad. I don't like that, right?
Right. Like, I might understand the discomfort if there was some heavy PDA going on, but a forehead kiss is not something you should be offended by.
Well, yeah, like if they were all out making out on the couch in front of everyone, sure, that would be gratuitous and completely unnecessary. A light peck on the forehead is not hurting anybody, right?
Right. And it's good to love your partner and to, show them tokens of affection if they are into that, And so, I mean, getting the stepmom involved too is like also low. Like, dude, handle your own battles. Like, I can see why you're having relationship troubles if you need to go through mommy to communicate everything.
Yeah, and I guess, according to the comments, he's a bit of the golden child. The stepbrother is the golden child. So, yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things where, OP is just being a kind individual, and this is just, the mom being like favoring the other kid.
Mm-hmm. So stepbro just needs to take a cue from OP's playbook and step up as a partner.
Yeah, maybe that's just what has to happen. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here. And Amber, she has a joke.
What might you say about the dog pun?
What would I say about a dog pun? I would say, doggone it, that's a good pun.
It's a good one. But you could also say it was artful.
Oh, I wouldn't say that.
And it's National Spoil Your Dog Day and also National S'mores Day.
Ooh, so go spoil your dog. And don't spoil your dog with a s'more because s'mores won't go down well with your dog. The chocolate.
Mm-hmm.
And I have Earl Grey.
Spoil your dog and then spoil yourself with s'mores if you like those.
Yes. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Special Sunday, folks. And you know what makes it special? You do. Amber does too. And the forehead kisses in the last story do as well.
And Brian does too.
Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance, and please have it a little wholesome.
Share some affection with the people you love.
I think that's nice. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.